lovies. Today we're going to read the story of the Brave Little Tailor. One day, a tailor was sitting at his bench sewing a seam with his needle and thread. Beside him was a plate, and on the plate was a slice of bread and jam. It was his lunch, and the sooner he finished sewing the seam, the sooner he could eat it. He liked jam spread on bread. He wasn't the only one. "Jam!" buzzed the greedy little flies. "We smell jam!" "Don't you dare!" shouted the little tailor. He picked up a piece of cloth. "Take that!" he shouted as he swatted at the flies as hard as he could. 7 of them fell dead to the table. "How clever I am," said the little tailor proudly. "I have killed 7 with one blow. I must tell the world about this." And so that the world could see at a glance how clever he was, he made himself a belt. On the belt, he embroidered the words, 7 with one blow. He put some cheese in his pocket in case he got hungry, and then he set off. Beside the door, as he went out, was a small brown bird caught in a bush. He untangled it from the prickly briars and put it in his pocket with the cheese. He followed a road that wound round the side of a mountain like a corkscrew. At the 4th turn in the road, he met a giant carrying a tree. "Would you like to walk with me and keep me company?" called the brave little tailor. "Ho, ho!" laughed the giant, who was as tall as the tree himself. To the brave little tailor, he barely reached his knee. "Ho, ho! Me walk with you? Ho, ho, ho!" "Read that," said the brave little tailor, pointing to his belt, "and then see if you feel like laughing." 7 with one blow, read the giant. He thought that meant that the brave tailor had killed 7 ogres, or 7 dragons, or maybe even 7 knights in armor. And he was very impressed. Nonetheless, he decided to test the brave little tailor. After all, it is easy enough to say you are brave and strong. He picked up a rock that would have squashed the brave little tailor had it fallen on him. "Can you do this?" asked the giant. He squeezed the rock until perspiration stood in beads on his brow, and finally a tiny trickle of water ran from the rock. "That's easy enough," said the brave little tailor. He put his hand in his pocket, took out the cheese. It was a soft, squashy cheese. It was so squashy, one tiny squeeze, and whey ran between his fingers in a milky stream. "Oh," said the giant, rather taken aback. Then he said, "Can you throw as far as this?" And he picked up a small boulder and hurled it with all his might. It flew through the air like a thunderbolt and landed with a thud on the grass, at least half a league away. "Easily," said the brave little tailor. This time he took the little brown bird from his pocket. It had gotten over its fright of being tangled in the briar, and it was glad to be free. When the brave little tailor tossed it into the air, it flew and flew until it was just a tiny speck in the distance. "It will fall to the ground sooner or later," said the brave little tailor. "Probably later rather than sooner." "If you're that strong," said the giant, feeling more than a little put out, "you could help me carry this tree home." "Glad to," said the brave little tailor. "You go in front and take the roots, and I'll follow behind and carry the branches, which are the heaviest part." The giant lifted the heavy trunk back onto his shoulder. The knobby roots stuck out in front of him like a lopsided beard, and he didn't see the brave little tailor leap nimbly into the branches behind him and settle himself comfortably. "Ready when you are," cried the brave little tailor. He rode all the way to the giant's cave. His feet did not touch the ground once. When they got to the cave, the giant lowered the tree to the ground and sat down himself. He didn't see the brave little tailor jump to the ground. The brave little tailor wasn't the slightest bit out of breath. He didn't look the slightest bit tired. The giant couldn't believe his eyes. He was tired. He was out of breath. And he was frightened as well. The brave little tailor was as strong as he seemed to be and could be dangerous, even to a giant. He would have to be gotten rid of. "Come into the cave and meet my brothers," said the giant slyly. "You could spend the night with us." That night, the giant let the brave little tailor sleep in his own bed while he slept on the floor. The bed was just the right size and comfortable for a giant, but for the brave little tailor, it was too big and far too uncomfortable. Each lump in the mattress felt like a small mountain. He could not sleep at all, and at last he crawled into the corner and fell asleep there. And what a good thing that he did, for in the night, the giant smote the bed with an iron bar. If the brave little tailor had been sleeping in it, he surely would have been killed. The next morning, the giants were having breakfast, happy in the thought that the brave little tailor who had killed 7 with one blow was now dead himself. They had a surprise of their lives when the brave little tailor called for his breakfast. They bellowed with fright, and they ran from the cave. They ran until they came to the sea. They splashed through that until they reached the land on the far side. They're probably still running. The brave little tailor puffed out his chest when he saw the 3 giants running away from him. He felt brave enough to conquer 100 giants. He fooled a lot of people into thinking he was stronger than he really was. Even kings trembled at the thought of what he might do. One day, he became a king himself. But that's a story for another time. Good night, my lovies. I hope you have sweet dreams. And Grammy Jules loves you all. Mwah. Bye.